Hey y'all, welcome back to the Insurance Lounge with me, Tanya.
And me, Kristy.
We are your insurance agent out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we are here to make insurance a little less boring and way more useful because our goal is to share with you what we know so that you feel more confident about how you can protect better protect your family, your home, your business, and of course, your financial future. So now, with that said, Christy, would you mind kicking us off for this week topic?
Sure thing, Tanya. Let's talk about renter's insurance, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
yes.
good one. A lot of people, whether, because they're young and just starting off, or they've recently moved and still looking for their forever home, there's a lot of reasons why people rent for a time. And just because you don't own a home doesn't mean that you don't have things to protect.
Absolutely. So that's a lot of time that get overlooked, Christy, because if we're renting and we don't have a home in our name, things like that, we really don't think that we have anything to lose, right? Like we
Yeah.
need to protect anything. So
Like, I
uh
literally talked to a younger relative one time fairly recently and asked him about, he was moving from one city to another actually. And I said, well, you're in an apartment complex. You're going to need some renter's insurance. And he said, I really don't see the point. But okay, okay. Well, there's
let's
there's an
unpack this.
educational opportunity.
Yes, let's unpack all this for
Yeah,
I'm sure he's not the only
he's
person
not. Yeah,
that feels that
exactly.
way. So that's why we wanted to take some time today and share with you five reason why if you are renting, you want to make sure you protect yourself with renter's insurance.
You
So,
betcha.
Christy, the first thing is we want to make sure that we protect our stuff.
Our stuff, right? And I find that most people, far and away, most people undervalue, the total value of their belongings. But regardless of, whether it's $20,000 worth of stuff or $100,000 worth of stuff, right? If something happens, would you be able to replace it all at once?
Yes.
Something catastrophic happened to your living space. So it's worth protecting no matter how much it's worth.
Exactly. And this will cover everything that you have in your home or your apartment. So it will cover all your beautiful clothing, all your
Yeah.
electronics.
Yeah.
If you have a bicycle,
Bicycles, that's a big one. Yeah.
absolutely all of your furniture, right? I mean, if you really think about it, if you ever find yourself in that situation where, you've lost everything inside your home, I mean, wouldn't you at the least, Christy, make sure that you have some sort of way to get back the basic stuff that you need, like pots
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pans, plates, maybe just a bed to sleep on, maybe a couch that you can
Yeah.
relax in when you come home from work after you're
Yeah.
dealing with all this, right? So, especially in our area where we have a lot more catastrophic weather events that happens all the time, Christy. I'm sure you have plenty of stories about that,
Oh
where our
yeah.
customer lost everything and the renter's policy comes into place and actually took care of them the way that it should. And it
Hmm.
did not set them back.
Right. Exactly.
And then the other thing too is you want to make sure that your family is protected. So that's item number two. So
Yep.
can you elaborate on that, Christy?
Yeah, whether it's, a single person, just you in an apartment, or maybe it's, a family of four renting a single family dwelling, it doesn't matter. If something happens to that place and you're unable to be in it for a while, it's unlivable. There's been a fire, there's been, storm damage, like you're saying, something happened to the roof. If you can't live there for a while, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And so renter's insurance will most of the time cover the expense of living somewhere else, either on a short term or even, a bit of a longer term basis if we're really talking about a reconstruction type of effort until you can get back in there.
Exactly. And or also sometimes where, the place that you were living before, something happened to it and you're not able to move back there either. So you have to spend a little bit of time to
Right.
find a new, place to rent, right? And it doesn't have to be something catastrophic, guys, because I know there's parts of the country where you don't even get rain, right? So it's like, what do you mean catastrophic? What do you mean storm and hail? It could be a busted pipe in the apartment because
Yeah.
something was faulty and it's not even your fault, it's not the landlord fault. But it might take a little while until you can move back into your apartment. Now, Christy, you know besides paying for a temporary place to stay, what else does this cover? What else does the policy cover for you know for the policyholder, I guess, for the
Yeah.
insurer, right? They
Yeah.
have to use this loss of use or additional living expense coverage.
Oh, I mean, it can be, if you have to be in a hotel for a little while, you have to use a laundromat now. I mean, just think about all of the things that the comforts of home that you take for granted that aren't going to be there, if you have to be in a temporary housing kind of situation. So, all of those things can be covered by additional living expenses.
Absolutely. We have customer in case of a accidental fire and they have to use that. So they got to buy some temporarily new clothes to go to work the next day, or
Yeah,
some of our customer have to order takeouts or delivery because they couldn't cook
right.
in
Yep.
the hotel room while they're waiting for their place to be ready again. So
Yeah.
things like that is super helpful.
All of those expenses, really add up. And in a time when you've suffered a loss anyway, you don't want for those expenses to be adding up. So the additional living expense coverage in your renter's policy can be invaluable at a time like that.
Absolutely. And especially if you have children on top of that too.
Heaven forbid, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, the renter's policy can really come into play and help save you from headaches. I mean, you're going to have headaches anyways, but save you more heartaches along the way, hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then what is item number three, Christy? What does the renters really do here?
Yeah, it's really protecting the biggest value of it to me. I mean, obviously your stuff is very valuable, but the biggest value of it to me is protecting your liability almost in the place. The cost that could be the personal responsibility that you might have if you damage the property somehow, either on accident, like you say, for people who have kids and the baseball goes through the window or,
Or they
gosh,
get
I
in
mean,
a fight at school?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Same kind of liability coverage that you have in a homeowner's policy, right? So,
Yes.
I had a lady fairly recently who had a kitchen fire in her apartment, and that was basically kind of her fault, And she said, "Oh gosh, I left the room. I didn't think there was a towel hanging too near the pan, and it caught on fire, caused a lot of damage. She couldn't live there for a while, but she had to pay for all of that structural damage to the apartment because it was her fault."
Yes, absolutely. And, there are
But her renter's
also.
coverage paid for it, thankfully, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that liability can add up really quick, especially when you're staying in an apartment like that. Because you're not just
Yeah.
next to like one other person, or you're not like maybe an arm length away from somebody else. There's a lot of units around you. So if that accidental fire that you caused smoke damage to the neighbors or to other properties
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
complex, that liability can add up really
Yeah.
quick.
Or like that water example that you gave earlier, you accidentally leave the water running and let the bathtub run over and it goes through the floor and damages the people underneath you. I mean, there are a lot of things that can happen when you're in those kind of close living quarters that you can be liable for.
Exactly. And you'll find the comfort that liability doesn't just protect you while you're in your home or in your complex or at the rental house, but it does follow you and your family members anywhere around the
Anywhere in the
world.
world, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys recall, and I'm sure you can look this up. There was a family that took their little boy. I think he was maybe like 4 or 5 years old. I could be very wrong. But just to a community center. There was a free event that weekend, and he accidentally, knocked over one of the display that was
Eek.
there. And and the family ended up getting a bill for I think 116 or $130,000 for property
Holy cow.
damage.
Mhm.
Yep. And so you do want to have that peace of mind, guys. I know, like I said earlier, just because you're renting, it doesn't mean that you don't have things to lose. I'm sure
Yeah.
you work really, really hard to accumulate everything that you have earned yourself in life. You just want
Yeah.
to make sure you protect yourself from accidents like that.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing that I hear about it, right? Well, the place I'm living doesn't require me to have renter's insurance, so I'm not gonna pay for that. And it's kinda like, okay, well, do you know what it would really do for you? Clearly people
Right.
don't understand.
Right. Yes, and you want to make sure, it is not required, but like, we mentioned, if you are responsible financially and you make sure you take care of your business and you grow your asset over time, you have stuff to lose. You want to make sure
That's
you
right.
protect that. And on the contrary, too, Christy, and we hear that a little bit more frequently lately, that there are certain complex or certain place when you rent, they already have a renter's policy built in
Yeah.
to your monthly payment or your monthly rent. Um, and so you don't need to get one on your own, and which is fine, right? Because we don't want you to double dip. But there are a couple things we do want you to be aware of if that's a
Yeah.
situation you find yourself in.
I would recommend that you ask for a copy of the declarations page of that policy that's covering you and find out exactly what it is actually covering. Is it covering your belongings? Is it covering your liability? Or is it only protecting, the property owner? Because oftentimes that's the knock on those things, right? Is that that can be the case. That it's not really protecting you as the renter. It's only protecting the property owner. If you have an agent, take that declarations page to them and ask them to look it over for you and say, is this sufficient? Does this really help me? Otherwise, why am I paying for it? I'll go get my own policy.
Exactly, exactly. And that brings us to our fourth point, right? Like we want to get our own policy when we rent, not only because we want to protect our stuff, Christy, but what else can it do for us?
Yeah, there are a lot of good reasons, right? And one of the other main ones is because it can get you a discount on your auto insurance. Back to that concept of bundling. Anytime you have more than one policy in place with a single carrier, you're probably going to get a discount for having the multiple policies there. So it gets you a discount on both of them, your renter's insurance and your auto insurance. If you also have, maybe you have a motorcycle, you get a discount on that. So, um, oftentimes I find that the discount you might get on your auto insurance can be enough that it almost covers the cost of the renter's insurance. And at that point, it's a no-brainer. Well, this is only going to cost me maybe $10 a month. Why not do it?
Absolutely. Yes. And we do see that quite often, right? Where it's two birds with one stone. So you get
Hmm.
coverages for two policies, you're paying for the price of one. So, it doesn't hurt to check with your agent, but we strongly encourage you to do that. Most of the time, if you're paying for your home separately and your auto separately, you're paying higher prices on both policies, guys.
For sure.
And guess what? When your life change, right? And your insurance needs to change to make sure it's keeping up with your life changes. When you have your two policies in two separate places, unfortunately, these carriers are not going to get together and talk to each other and make sure that they take good care of you. So,
Hmm.
that's another
Yep.
disadvantage of leaving them separately. You can, of course, you can do it. We don't recommend it though.
Not at all. And actually, what you said leads me right into the last reason that we came up with for what's beneficial about carrying renter's coverage. Because when your life changes, and at some point you might find, now I'm ready to buy a house, The fact that you've had renter's insurance, and this is one that I'm sure a lot of people out there do not know and have never considered. But if you've had renter's insurance all along, that's building a continuous insurance history for you that'll probably get you a discount on your homeowner's insurance as well. So you're going to get a better price at that next stage in your life.
Yes, absolutely. And especially, when you are becoming the first time homeowner and you're already paying out of pocket left and
For
right for
everything.
everything else, the last thing you want to do is, paying more for your home insurance, where you could have done something to get a little bit of a break.
Yeah,
So we do highly recommend that. It is not available in every state, but again, if you have an awesome agent like Christy and I, just give them a call. They're probably going to be able to help you. Understand, are you going to get a discount or not in the future? But I think most importantly, if you are renting, if you have nice things, if you have a good job, uh, and you're saving up to buy your home, for example,
yeah.
we highly recommend that you lock in that renter's policy and protect yourself and your family.
Just one more added layer of protection, right, Tanya? So maybe we want to recap real briefly the things that we've talked about.
Yes, ma'am. I have down that the number one reason why we want to get renter's insurance is because we want to protect our personal belonging. We work hard to buy nice things because we enjoy nice things, so we want to make sure that they are protected in case of being damaged or stolen, things like that.
You got it. And number 2, protecting our family and our ability to have somewhere else to live and take care of our basic daily needs in the event that we have to be out of our apartment or whatever, whatever home that we're renting at the time. So they call that additional living expenses, and it can pay for everything from rent in a new place to replacement meals, replacement clothing, whatever those daily living expenses are.
Absolutely. And then the third reason, which is for us, where we deal with insurance on a daily basis, is one of the most important reason why you should get renter's insurance is to protect yourself from liability. So
You got
if
it.
you ever find yourself financially responsible, and whether you did it accidentally, right? You didn't mean to do it, but you still financially held liable for someone else's injury or property damage, whether
Yeah.
it's at your apartment complex, at your rental home, in the backyard, or you're out and about golfing and hunting and fishing, or your
Right. Yep.
sons and daughters are at school. It protects you and it follows you and your family members everywhere around the world. So you work hard for your money, guys. People today are so happy. You need to make sure that you protect your hard earned asset.
It's so true. And number 4, bundle your policies together and get a deeper discount on both policies that you have. So your property insurance with the renter's policy, you're also going to get a discount on your auto insurance that way.
Absolutely. And then that brings us to the last point. When you eventually decide to become a homeowner, just keep in mind that your renter's policy will be able to get you, if your state allows it, will be able to get you a bigger discount on your future homeowner's insurance policy.
Yep.
So, yes, it's not going to be immediate. This is something long term, but again, it's not something that you can just pull out of thin air. We just want you to have this piece of information so that you're better prepared. So when the moment comes, you can really reap the fruit of everything you have done to be financially responsible.
Get rewarded for that good behavior. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we hope you enjoyed today's segment, and we are so thankful that you're back to visit with us again. If you do like me and Christy and the information we're sharing, please like and follow and share. If you need an awesome agent like Christy and I, we will drop our contact information in the bio down below. And with that, Christy, is there anything else you want to add for today?
I don't think so today. I'm just ready for the rain to stop. Please, come on. Please.
I think we have rain that's going to last us all summer, but I know that's not going to. that's not going to stop. So,
I hope not. I hope not.
yeah.
I'm ready to go boating, so there's a topic that we can tackle at another time, right? We'll talk about boat insurance.
Absolutely. When you're out and you're having fun, you want to make sure you're protected too, guys. So, until
Got
next
it.
time, bye.
Bye, guys.